welcome to BRK Show. I am your host Brian Karani. Thank you for tuning in. This is the show that brings you all the news that enlightens, informs, and is evocative. We touch on health, education, arts, and culture and sports from around the globe. Here's a look at major stories doing rounds in the world. US President Donald Trump has been urged by French political leaders not to interfere with French politics. This comes after the US president posted tweets about the protests rocking the country and attacked the Paris climate. He quoted, and I quote, "Very sad day and night in Paris," Trump tweeted. "Maybe it's time to end the ridiculous and extremely expensive Paris Agreement and return money back to the people in the form of lower taxes." The US was way ahead of the curve on that, and the only major country where emissions went down last year. France's Foreign Minister Yves Le Drian stated that the French do not take American domestic politics into account and that they want the same reciprocated. Authorities at Gatwick Airport in south of London were forced to cancel and reschedule flights after 2 drones were reportedly spotted flying over the airport's airstrip. Officials from Gatwick, which is the 8th busiest airport in Europe, apologized for any inconvenience and said that they take their passengers' safety very seriously and that they will do everything to catch up on the flight schedule. In the first big election since teachers across the United States of America walked out of their classrooms earlier this year, dozens of current teachers claimed state legislative seats, joining the policy-making bodies that greatly influence pay and funding for schools. It was the culmination of months, if not years, of activism and advocacy for many of these educators, and yet the victory wasn't clear-cut. While 42 teachers won, nearly 80 teachers, or 2/3 of those on the ballot, lost their legislative bids in the country's midterm elections. According to an Education Week analysis, and gubernatorial candidates who pushed for pumping more money into public schools were also defeated in Oklahoma and Arizona, leaving teachers there reeling. Now, bringing this story home to Kenya, the parliament posted the education qualification of 349 MPs in the 12th parliament by publishing their CVs on the website. The information published by the August House on Tuesday shows that 2/3 of MPs have at least a bachelor's degree, while a third, that is 116 MPs, either hold a diploma or certificate. 10 MPs are PhD holders, a number of others with bachelor's degrees and currently pursuing master's degrees. Professor Zadok Ogutu, Bomachage Mboragu, Malulu Injendi, Korei Olelemain, Wilson Kipngetich, Makau Mulu, Lilian Gogo, and Mutunga Kanyudha hold PhD degrees. Others include women representatives Christine Ombaka, Tekla Tum, and Pamela Ochieng. Interestingly, a significant number of MPs bypassed a diploma to enroll for undergraduate courses in foreign universities with questionable reputations, which leads to our main topic of discussion: how significant is a leader's educational background in relation to their leadership? Be sure to engage us via our social media account. My Twitter handle is @BrianKarani and use the hashtag BKB. Keep the conversation going. You can share your views on our social media. My Twitter handle is @BrianKarani. And @PoliticMan says, educated or not, we should have leaders who are not greedy. A degree doesn't assure one's integrity. To expound on the topic and help us understand better how education affects leadership in Kenya is a panel of 3 guests who are well versed in both politics and education matters. First, we have Sylvia Wamboi, a former student leader at Daystar University. Welcome, Sylvia. Why do many young people lose interest in education so fast, especially after the tertiary level?
I believe people lose interest in education after the tertiary level education because mainly in school we get to do more of theory, not much of practical. So people do not get to understand their full talent and full capability and ability of what they really want to do. So after school, it becomes more of engaging in things that the society wants, that your family wants, and what you're supposed to be doing, but not what you love. So I think people lose interest in education in terms of proceeding to masters and PhD, because their specialization becomes so narrowed down in terms of theory and not much of ability of what they have to do. Yes.
Do you think many student leaders in universities turn out to be good leaders in politics?
I believe they do come out better in different circumstances, depending on the grooming, because even as a student leader, you do have people who work with you and guide you. But most importantly, good student leader do make great politicians, because the grooming from school, whether bad experience or good experience, makes them become leaders who are worth of experience in terms of the government system, in terms of a broadened mind, and in a wider field, let me say so. So I believe student leaders do make good leaders in politics, because that little experience exposes them to a larger field of expertise. Yes.
With us we also have Dr. Nkatha Muriongi, a lecturer at Machakos University. Welcome to the show. Now, with cases of cheating involved in schools, more so in the national examinations, what are the impacts of cheating, both short-term and long-term, in our country?
Yeah, in the recent past there has been many cases of cheating, and the genesis of this cheating could have emanated from the overemphasis of formal education and university certificates to informal education and skills. And therefore this one has brought a lot of pressure to candidates, and because of this you find that the parents have overemphasized on this passing of the examinations. Because of this, it has resulted in many cartels coming up, and there has been many cases of cheating, and this cheating will have both short-term and long-term impact in our society. Now, in the case of short-term, you find that because of this cheating, many of the students get to pass the exams through the wrong means, and when they get to the tertiary education, especially at the universities and colleges, it really has a lot of pressure on them. And because of this, you find that at the university level, many students will still continue with the cases of cheating because of the sins which have been planted, these sins of dishonesty. And therefore, this one causes a lot of cases of dropouts at the university because of missing marks, and also the students take a long time to graduate, which is really not a nice thing in our academic sector. You find that if in the other colleges, other tertiary colleges like the primary teacher colleges, there has been a massive retakes of the national examination, which probably could be as the same case as a result of maybe students passed the examinations, they went to the colleges, but they really did not have that academic potential in them.
Okay.
On the case of the long term, it can impact negatively on the economy, because you find that we can have a workforce that is not competent on what they are supposed to do, because they have done courses which are really not what they are supposed to have done, and therefore you find like could have medical doctors who did not qualify well, and this one can really be of a negative impact in the society, land and the economy.
Is the rush to make it big or get rich quick affecting the quality of education in Kenya?
Yes, you find that in the society that we are in today, the young people may be looking up to some people who have made it in life and with a lot of money and doing well economically, but they have not gone to formal education. And as a result, they may find as if there is no need for this education, and therefore may not be willing to pursue higher education. For example, you find that you find that because of this, the young people may not be interested. Again, you find that there are so many people who have gone to school, they have higher education degrees, but they don't have jobs. And therefore, this one could be impacting negatively on the education sector.
And lastly, does a high level of education, like master's or PhD, affect one's capacity to lead, maybe well or poorly?
Okay, and there has been a theory that leaders are born, others say that they are nurtured, but what I would say, it is a yes and a no answer. You find that you could be having the leadership potential naturally, but in order for you to bring these leadership roles very well, it is important for you to have quality education. It may not be necessarily the master's and PhD, but at least you need education so that you can have the knowledge, you can have the skills, you can be able to understand how to deal with the diverse people in the society who you will be leading. And therefore I would say yes, there's a need to have the education, but again, it is not necessarily that the education has to be the master's and PhD.
Lastly, I will invite Mr. Stephen Kiruki, a lawyer with his firm Kiruki and Kaika Advocates. Welcome, Kiruki. Does the level of education that one has achieved at secondary or tertiary level affect how they lead, particularly here in Kenya?
I think this one depends with a number of factors. Because the level of education, it can be master's, it can be degree level, diploma level, and high school level. If you ask me that question, whether the level of education determines the type of leadership, I would say yes and no. Because in parliament there is debate in parliament, and they debate serious issues affecting citizens. If you are not well learned, you may not be able to participate in that debate very well. So I think from diploma level is someone who can engage very well in parliament and articulate issues on behalf of common mwananchi. So I would say yes and no, because you have some leaders who have even to PhD, but being most of the corrupt people in the society. So I would say yes and no. Sometimes the level of education can influence, but you need very basic education, like having a diploma. I think that one you can be able to articulate issues in parliament, but you don't need to have a PhD so that you can represent your people and articulate issues.
We have heard of some Kenyan politicians supposedly faking their educational background or the level of education they have attained. Why do you think this is?
Thank you for that question. I had an opportunity to do election petitions on behalf of IBC, and there are a number of reasons why people forged their degree certificates. Like to be a governor in Kenya, the minimum level of education is you must have a degree. So that's why you'll see people forging those certificates so that legally they can be qualified to vie. Already there is a matter pending before Supreme Court for Wajir governor, whereby it's purported that he forged degree certificates. We are waiting to see what the Supreme Court will rule on that issue. So they fake or they forge degree certificates so that they can be qualified to vie. Because in our election laws, you have said the minimum qualifications for a person to vie as MP, as governor, and as president, or a member of county assembly. Yes.
In the Western world, majority of the leaders in the government are well learned, and so we should also have leaders who care about performing well in their dockets and positions for the sake of the citizens. Some Kenyans have become so unsatisfied with the state of corruption and rising and spiraling national debt that they do not care about voting anymore. Perhaps it is time that we as a country have leaders who are trained in the positions they take, and maybe that can improve the performance of our government. We have seen some of the best performing ministers and cabinet secretaries in the recent and distant past have been holders of PhDs and master's degrees. So clearly, there is a correlation between the higher level of education one has attained and how they perform and the case in point being the Ministry of Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i. I do hope you have been informed in our show. I have been your host, Brian Karani, and until we meet again, do have a wonderful time.